The story of the Catholic Church in Russia would be incomplete without the Greek Catholic Church. This is a very interesting phenomenon with a fascinating history. Greek Catholic churches, just like the name suggests, are related to Eastern Orthodox Christianity and Roman Catholicism at the same time. Since the Great Schism of 1054, when the Christian world split into Roman Catholicism and Orthodox Christianity, there have been numerous attempts to overcome it in one way or another. Many of such attempts, just like the split itself, have not only had theological reasons, that is, to unify the universal church under the Bishop of Rome, but also political. Let me start with the events of the 16th century in the lands of today's Ukraine and Belarus. Back then, the most important political and ecclesiastical centers were the part of the recently established Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Both Poland and Lithuania were, and still are, the strongholds of Roman Catholicism. However, Kiev, the ancient capital where the Christianization of Rus started, remained an Orthodox Christian center. In 1589, the Patriarch of Constantinople was forced to officially recognize the first Moscow Patriarch Job in English. This put the so-called Ruthenian population of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in a difficult position as a religious minority in a Catholic state under suspicion of influence from a powerful rival state. By the end of the 16th century, this led to the situation when Kievan bishops headed by Metropolitan Mikhail Ragoza needed to find ways to keep their church under control, relieve her from potential persecution, and prove their loyalty to the Polish-Lithuanian rule. After a series of negotiations, in 1595 they formally requested a union with the Holy See in Rome, which was officially accepted and proclaimed the next year. Kievan bishops suggested a number of terms for their liturgical and ritual autonomy, recognizing at the same time the papal authority. They engaged in a full ecclesiastical fellowship with Rome, keeping at the same time their Eastern Rite liturgy, ecclesiastical structure, married clergy, and so on. Naturally, not all bishops, priests, and laymen supported the union. Hence, since that time there were two parallel Eastern Rite churches with the center in Kiev, the Ruthenian Uniate Church and the Orthodox Church. In the second part of the 17th century, the eastern half of Ukraine became a part of the Russian Empire, and the Moscow Patriarchate annexed both the Uniate metropolis of Kiev and the smaller Orthodox metropolis of the Constantinople Patriarchate. While during the Polish-Lithuanian rule Orthodox Christians were a persecuted minority, with the establishment of the Moscow rule, the tables turned. In the western parts that went to Prussia and Austria, the Greek Catholic Church remained. In the territories captured by Russia, however, Greek Catholics were banned and persecuted. The clergy and the faithful were pressured to reconvert to Orthodox Christianity. The situation changed in the early 19th century when Pavel I legalized the church and stopped persecutions. However, throughout the century, Greek Catholics were constantly pushed, sometimes violently, to come back to the Orthodox Church. The Church Council of 1839 in Polotsk overturned the union and transferred more than 1,500 parishes to the Moscow rule. In 1875, the liquidation of Greek Catholics within the Russian Empire was officially proclaimed. After Nicholas II liberalized religion in 1905, many people reconverted back to Greek Catholicism. When it comes to the western part of today's Ukraine, Russia controlled it for less than a year during the First World War and tried to enforce the rule of the Moscow Church. During the Interwar period, this territory belonged to Poland, and the Greek Catholic Church actively grew under the headship of Metropolitan Andrzej Szeptycki. When Poland was split between Germany and the Soviet Union, Western Ukraine became Soviet. The church was suspected of Western influence and the support of Ukrainian nationalism. The plans to either cut all connections to Rome, making the church independent, or merge it with the Russian Orthodox Church were interrupted by the raging war. In 1946, in the town of Lvov, the Soviet authorities organized a ecumenical council, which consisted of representatives of the Russian Orthodox Church and loyal Greek Catholics. Never recognized by the Church, the Council concluded to liquidate the Greek Catholic Church in the Soviet Union and transfer her parishes to the Russian Orthodox Church. After the Council, most bishops were persecuted and the remaining part of the Church went underground. Some attended Orthodox churches and some emigrated and organized numerous parishes around the world. After the liberalization of religion and the meeting of Mikhail Gorbachev with John Paul II, the Greek Catholic Church was legalized once again. Parishes and buildings were returned to the Church, yet sometimes with violent resistance from already established Orthodox congregations. Currently, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church counts about 4.5 million congregants, which makes her the biggest Eastern Rite Catholic Church in the world. She is headed by Major Archbishop Sviatoslav Shevchuk. But what about Russia? Russia has her own small Greek Catholic Church. Founded in 1917 in Petrograd, former St. Petersburg, under the protection of the Ukrainian Bishop Andrei Sheptitsky, her few converts immediately faced persecutions and by the 1940s were either executed or incarcerated. With the exception of Russian Greek Catholics in emigration, the church was mostly restored in the 1980s with the liberalization of the Soviet society. Nowadays, there are two formal territories, one in Russia and one in China, and both do not have a bishop. The acting head of the church is Bishop Joseph Wert. Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. I see you all next time.